What's up everyone? Alex here. You ever gotten to this gaming funk where not a single game out there interests you and you just kind of fall out of love from gaming? And then all of a sudden you play a game that is so good that it just brings you back, like you're being revived from the dead. Friends, that is exactly what Clair Obscur Expedition 33 did to me over the past few weeks. And I'm really excited to share with you my thoughts after playing this incredible turn-based JRPG for 3+ hours. Whoa, that was weird. Before I dive deep into its gameplay, I have to share Clair Obscur Expedition 33's premise, because it's one of the biggest hooks for me. A supernatural entity known as the Paintress is continuously counting down and painting a new number each year, with any person with an age matching it quickly wiped from existence. Since this phenomenon began, expedition teams have embarked on a journey to prevent the Paintress from painting a new number, with none ever returning. You'll be joining a man named Gustav, along with the rest of Expedition 33, on one such journey, exploring the expanse of a vast uncharted continent, with the hopes of finally putting a stop to the Paintress' countdown to extinction once and for all. One of the biggest questions I had before playing this game is how much exploration Clair Obscur Expedition 33 allows. Is it more Final Fantasy X or more Lost Odyssey? While the first few minutes were linear, mainly because the devs tacked on a bunch of combat tutorials just for this preview, it didn't take long for the game to introduce areas that hid knickknacks in out-of-the-way places. After reaching the end of this area, the game opened up and allowed me to explore the continent, which acts as the game's world map, albeit with everything properly sized relative to your party. Yes, friends, Clair Obscur Expedition 33 has a world map. This is all to say that the game's areas ultimately feel larger when compared to the areas found in classic pre-rendered Final Fantasies, while introducing verticality and a variety of traversal methods, which all make exploration relatively interesting. It also helps that Clair Obscur Expedition 33's environments are beautiful and packed to the brim with lots of breathtaking landmarks and vistas. I know it's not common for us JRPG fans to gawk at how beautiful these explorable areas are, since dungeons are usually a means to an end in other JRPGs. But you should take the time to admire what's around you whenever you get your hands on this game. Because of the nature of Clair Obscur Expedition 33's premise, you likely won't be encountering any towns with living inhabitants on your way to the Paintress. As such, item management, weapon, and accessory acquisition function differently in this game. Let me explain. Items all have very limited capacity, which means that you'll have to use these only when you absolutely need to. It's only by using an expedition flag and resting that you'll replenish both your health and all of your item stock. Clair Obscur does not have an MP mechanic that needs to be replenished, but we'll talk about AP, the resource that replaces it, once we get into combat. Finding weapons and accessories, called Pictos in this game, is as simple as finding them while you're exploring or progressing through the main story. Weapons level up with repeated use, and can unlock a variety of different abilities. Pictos, on the other hand, grant your characters interesting perks. For instance, one perk grants you 3 AP after delivering a killing blow to your opponent, which is huge! What makes Pictos even more interesting is that each character can learn these perks, allowing them to be equipped separately from the Pictos that granted them, with limitations of course. This allows several characters to equip the same perks without having to share the same Pictos. I've mentioned AP enough over the past few minutes that we should probably talk about how it plays into combat. Like I said earlier, AP replaces MP as a resource, and you can gain AP at the start of a character's turn by using a regular attack or by parrying attacks. AP is spent whenever you use skills or act as bullets when shooting enemies. You'll want to shoot enemies to hit their weak points, which deals tons of damage, or to defeat flying enemies, which are too quick for regular attacks. Keep in mind that shooting does not take a turn. Much like other Japanese-style RPGs, Clair Obscur features a classic elemental weakness system, complete with elemental attack nullification and absorption. One big concern I had coming into this game is the presence of QTEs when it comes to offense and defense. While QTEs for offense can be automated with a settings toggle, I was worried that the presence of defensive QTEs might make it frustrating for players who don't have good reflexes. Fortunately, the game does have multiple difficulty settings that ease the timing on these mechanics, which can be changed at any time in the menus. Additionally, most RPGs with defensive QTEs often have enemies with multiple attack animations that make it challenging to gauge the timing of dodges and parries. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 actually does a fantastic job of telling you what kind of attack to expect by textually showing you the speed of the enemy's attack, which is usually tied to one specific attack animation. This allows you to anticipate the incoming attack without having to spend too much time trying to figure out what attack they're about to use. To make things a little bit more complex, you're also given the option to either dodge or parry an attack, with the parry timing being tighter than dodging. Parries can be risky, but it can also lead to counterattacks, which can help chip away at your opponent's health and yield AP. I also had a concern about the constant camera movement that happens whenever attacks play out on screen, and I'm happy to report that the developers managed to tighten up the camera movement so as to not induce motion sickness. The camera is still fast, but the camera decelerates at a much quicker pace, creating a staccato-type movement that still reinforces the impact of each attack without making people feel sick. The last bit that I want to talk about with the combat is that every single character has a different gameplay mechanic that complements their playstyle. This is a welcome change, especially since most JRPGs these days allow you to homogenize builds and practically have the same set of abilities and skills, even if they're technically different party members. For example, my favorite character, Mael, is a fencer and has multiple stances that can either amplify her damage or bolster her defense. To further differentiate them, every character has their own skill tree that'll give you the freedom to purchase whatever skills you want, provided that they're connected and you have enough points to buy them. That being said, each character can only equip 6 skills at a time, so you have to carefully choose which ones you want to have on you. Overall, I really like the combat in Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Yes, it looks familiar, especially to veteran JRPG fans, but the limits to items and equipped skills, coupled with the clever pacing of each expedition flag and its unique character mechanics, ensures that every facet of its combat system is important, right down to the timing of your dodge and parries. It's a synergistic design that I appreciate, and I found myself running into battles a lot just because I found this risk and reward system to be so fun to engage with. Putting the combat aside, I want to quickly touch upon an aspect of its story without spoiling anything. The snippet of the game that I played featured some truly dramatic moments that quickly sold me on the game's world, which further immersed me in its citizens' plights. In a way, their struggles are a variation of the 10-year lifespan plaguing the youth of Xenoblade Chronicles 3, though the Paintress is a bit more of a looming threat that ensures death with no means of escape. That said, Clair Obscur manages to balance the feeling of hope and sorrow really well, thanks to its gorgeous visuals and fantastic music, which, by the way, absolutely floored me. I can't find any other credits for its composer, Laurien Testar, but believe me when I say that it's one of my favorite game soundtracks of the year so far. Lastly, I want to share with you a few other things that you might be curious about that didn't quite fit with how things flowed in the video. Number 1, there are no random battles. Number 2, you can gain a preemptive strike by hitting your opponent while on the field, regardless of whether they see you or not. Number 3, the preview build of the game has no save points, but it does have generous autosaves throughout. Number 4, you'll get 3 attribute points to boost different attributes each time your characters level up. These attributes consist of things you've seen in other JRPGs, like max HP, damage and defense numbers, speed, and luck. I don't often say this when I preview games, but after finishing this 3+ hour preview build, I immediately wanted to learn more about Clair Obscur Expedition 33's world, and see this journey through. This preview build proved to me that the developers' lofty ambitions to make a AAA-looking JRPG aren't smoke and mirrors. This preview build demonstrates these folks' talent, know-how, and reverence to the JRPG genre that has the makings of something truly amazing. And if the rest of the game is this good and maintains its momentum well, I can already see myself nominating this one as one of my favorite games of the year. But for now, we'll just have to wait until April to see how Expedition 33 fares. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 will be coming out on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC on April 24th. All that said, I want to know if you've got any questions that you want answered. Which aspect of Clair Obscur Expedition 33 are you hyped up for? Post your thoughts and questions in the comments below and let's talk about it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.